4:30. Call the meeting of the Whitman Middle School Building Committee to order for today, November 7th. If you could join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Public comment.
Working with mics here.
I'll try and be loud enough.
Gonna get his steps in? Yeah, I'm getting my step.
Hi, everyone. I think it's safe to assume that I don't only speak for myself when I say thank you and congratulations. Because of this committee, on the first day of school in 2027, approximately 579 students and 70 staff will walk into a beautiful, new, safe, modern, light-filled, mold-free, properly ventilated, climate-controlled, attractive learning environment. If, over the next 50 years, roughly 140 new fifth grade students enter that building, your commitment to stay the course and advocate for a 5 to 8 middle school with an auditorium will benefit at minimum 7,579 Whitman students. Each of those students, and many more, because we know this building will last a lot longer than 50 years, will breathe clean air, learn science, STEAM, and technology hands-on in actual labs, move about the building with ease, learn outdoors as well as in, fully participate in the arts as well as athletics, and take great pride in their surroundings. We know this wasn't an easy win. You saved this building project from derailment and sabotage multiple times. You dispelled innuendo, rumors, and outright lies. You withstood having your intelligence and integrity insulted on social media, and you just continued to champion the cause. You stood up to the bullies and you stayed the course. And in doing so, you inspired so many others to do the same. It is so exciting when the good guys win. Time and time again, you had the backs of our Whitman students, and you can now be certain that countless grateful Whitman parents and citizens will have yours for years to come.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary Conley, 405 Franklin. I want to thank the parents that really came together. There was an amazing parent movement as well that helped push this through. But I want to touch on, I think we all went on the tour of the middle school, and we knew we needed this building. There was no real option, no ethical real option. But one thing that stood out to me was the smell of the air, and how I needed to get a breath just to leave the building. So I wanted to know when the last air quality test was done, and what was the result of that test?
That wouldn't be the purview of this committee at all. That would be the facilities
this is public
subcommittee.
comment. Yeah, thank you. And when was the result of those tests? Because it would be the preview of this to determine what's going to happen to the students during the build if the quality of the air is not healthy for the children. So having that information public would be nice. Thank you.
All right, has everybody had an opportunity to read the minutes of 10:17 and 10:25? If so, I would entertain an option to approve the minutes of 10/17/23.
So moved. Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. We need to do this by roll call. Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain on 10/17.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Scriven?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, just, that was, the motion was Beth and the second was Kathleen.
Yes, correct.
If we can just say that, it makes it a lot easier when we do it.
No worries, no worries.
Thank you.
I'll be sure to. And I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from 10/25/23.
So moved. Beth.
Kathleen seconds it.
Okay, so same. George?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Unanimous.
Chris.
Oh, Chris. Jeez.
Yes.
Unanimous. Okay, moving right along. Town meeting results and the ballot vote results. I believe Mr. Carroll has something on the slide.
So this is hot off the presses, Fred, I think you got it to me about an hour ago, maybe? This is the official results.
Those are the official results.
So, the yeses were 1,005, the noes 837, and one blank. And we were able to report that information, unofficial, but to the MSBA on Monday morning, and they were very happy to hear the support for the project.
Right. Next steps.
So I don't know if we want to do
Julie,
a
Troy,
presentation at this
you
point?
guys both together, or? I'm sorry, Mr. Farrell?
Yeah, could I just, I'd like to publicly thank AI3 and Colliers, like to publicly thank all of the people on this committee, you know, and
That's the
obviously
same
all the
one.
townspeople, but I think our relationship with AI3 and Colliers, it has been great. Hopefully we move it forward.
It's Chris's.
And I just wanted to take a moment to make sure that, at least on the record, that we publicly thank them, because I think all the students in the end and all the community will benefit from that. So thank you.
Thank you, George.
So we have a extremely brief presentation tonight about next steps, ballot vote, town meeting results, just as they were just reported, project passes, and I know we were excited to hear about that, and we appreciate getting to continue to work with this committee for the next year. And looking ahead, so we wanted to highlight some of the milestone dates for the project schedule. Currently, November 2023, it will be primarily the MSBA's Module 5 that we are in now. So that will be the project scope and budget approval and funding agreement. Once that's complete, we can officially move on to design development. And we are looking at completing that MSBA submission in April 4th, 2024, followed by there'll be a 60% construction document submission in August, a 90% document submission in October, and then December 12th, we're targeting as that 100% construction document set. And then following the submission of all of those documents to the MSBA, we'll also have the ability to then go out for construction bids with the general contractor in February of 2025. The general contractor will be awarded the project, and construction can begin shortly thereafter. And then looking at spring 2027 for that certificate of occupancy, which would mean that the building is constructed to the point where it could be occupied, and then have students move into that building while the existing is demolished starting in the summer of 2027. And then having completed demo and site work by the following summer, 2028, so the project can be officially completed in about 5 years' time. And then looking at that same schedule in.
Quick question?
Sure.
Just to go back, the timeline that you have, summer of '28 for the fields, are they gonna require a one-year growing season in addition to that? Or is
This-
that part of?
This would be consuming all of that, so officially opening summer.
So they'd be able to open it in September '28, but they've be done pretty much for '27?
That's right,
That
yeah,
playing year.
that's right.
If we could just make sure that, and I guess that's up to us, we'll just make sure that the sports leagues have the schedule and they know when we're starting construction, et cetera. Perhaps one more meeting with those folks.
Just one quick clarification on that. So if we're starting the demolition of the old building in the summer of '27,
Yeah.
more than likely, we may not get the fields actually installed until the spring of '28.
Be 29 that they're
So
looking at.
then you'd have a
Yeah.
year from that establishment. So if you were to go with sod or something like that, it would speed that process up. But with the seeding process, you are probably right that it's probably that following spring.
Got it. You've seen this schedule multiple times. We're now just highlighting that we're in that project scope and budget approval module of the schedule. And then now everything beyond phase 1, we are officially moving into phase 2, so we can now see the project through to its completion. And then looking at the next phase more closely, we'll start with that project funding like I've mentioned, and then it's a lot of the same activities that we've had from schematic design, but now we're continuing to refine some of those conversations and details. So in January, we're looking to set up a lot of informational meetings and determinations. So I'll probably be touching base with Principal Frost over and over again this month and next month, just to get some meetings on the calendar to bring in conversations with safety and security, technology, FF&E, return to the staff for another round of programming. And so just constantly kind of checking in to make sure that the construction documents reflect the needs of the staff. Investigations and analyses will continue. So we've been reaching out to our civil engineering team and landscape architects for additional investigations regarding the geotechnical, traffic, site survey, hazmat. So we'll continue to, on a second round of those investigations, and then be able to report on the findings of those in this upcoming report. Our design development documents will be more refined from our schematic design set, and so those will inform another round of cost estimating this spring. With each of the remaining phases, we've sort of backed out the timeline of those in relation to cost estimating. So before the submission to the MSBA, for each of those phases, we will review the cost estimates with the committee and get your approval on submitting that submission to the MSBA, and we'll just continue that exercise with each phase. And then we will also incorporate some potential value engineering into that cost estimate analysis. So determining sort of priorities of if we do need to make some selections or reductions, what those might entail. And similarly, the notable dates that we've proposed on here for building committee meetings, those are sort of all related to the upcoming milestone dates. So we'll just want to lock in some building committee meetings as we go through these phases to ensure that we have those approvals that we need to submit to the MSBA.
And we are on a separate note, and I did put this further down on the agenda. We do need to enter into contracts, with OPM and architects. So I don't know if those are reflected there in your timeline. Naturally, I believe we try to do what we did before and set a subcommittee to do the negotiation, come back to the full committee for the vote.
Yeah, so I think maybe that's something we can talk about tonight is the subcommittee. I think what we're going to be working on is I'm currently working on a work plan for our team. Going to be working with Troy and Julie on their team to get some package information. I would say I'd ask for them to submit it to me first. We'll have a little bit of a discussion, then we submit it to that subcommittee, and hopefully with the goal of bringing it to this committee at the next meeting so that we can get approval of that and keep it moving forward.
And that's really all that we have.
Okay. Any questions for Julie or Mike? All right. So you were suggesting our next meeting date to be when?
Yeah, we were looking at
I'm
December.
sorry, I'm usually not quiet.
know you're right.
We were looking at December 19th. We will have a pretty packed agenda for that building committee meeting. So having a additional time from, looking past a month from now, just to be able to pull all that together.
And I know we're getting very close to the holiday
And
there.
that as well, yep.
As far as that goes, I also know,
All right,
Yes,
no, I
sir.
just have a question about the agenda and before moving on to the next meeting about something that was said. Can I?
go ahead, you can ask your question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, on the negotiation subcommittee architect, OPM,
Yeah.
what does that look like? Because if I remember correctly, I'm not sure if that was a subset of town school officials, if that was just the school committee that picked that, if that's, we're picking a group.
No, it's a subset of this committee. Basically, what's happened is the contracts that we have with AI3 and with Colliers have expired. They need to be amended in order for them to continue the project.
Okay,
So we need a subcommittee. There's a range of dollars that are included within the, and if I'm saying anything that's wrong, tell me. Range of dollars that's included within the MSBA submittal prior. So it's up to our subcommittee to come to an agreement within those ranges with AI3 and Colliers and go from there.
can I ask if memory serves, who was the last subcommittee, because didn't we do the same thing?
Same thing, I know we had Dave Cordero, I know we had Lincoln Heineman,
It was me.
and you.
Three of us.
Okay, the three of you. So obviously we can't have Lincoln and we can't have Dave, but,
And we
Yeah.
formulated it, just as memory, it was the TA, the superintendent, and somebody from the committee that had knowledge in that when we were going out.
knowledge in that field.
Correct.
Okay, and that was Mr. Cordero at the time. Justin, you have knowledge with contracts?
Not so much contracts, mechanical systems.
Systems, okay. Is there anyone here that has knowledge of contracts, Mr. Essen?
Yep.
You have knowledge, because I know you're into some of the big,
Big projects, yeah.
that nature.
I've also negotiated contracts during my years on the Milton School Committee when we had major building projects.
Okay.
So if I can maybe make a suggestion, in general, the contracts themselves are pretty well defined by the MSBA. So there's not really a lot of negotiation on the contract itself. It really, there's not a lot of, I would say, typical negotiation in the contract itself because the MSBA defines the contract, they provide us that contract. It's really understanding the scope of the work. For example, one of the things that we may have a question for you is the website for the project. Are we going to continue to maintain it? If we are, at what kind of level is it being maintained? Is it updated daily, weekly, monthly, that
Sure.
kind of thing? Or, so there's certain things like that we have to understand so we can get the numbers finalized. And really it's extending the contract duration out based off of the schedule that Julie kind of outlined at a high level right now. As we move into this next phase, we're going to be providing a lot more detail into that schedule, kind of like what Julie already has here from the design perspective, but we're also going to be adding in things like move management, contractor pre-qualifications, moving at the end of the project, FF&E, procurement, things like that. So we're going to have a lot more detail in there, but the start date and the end date is pretty much what we've laid out there, unless this committee directs us to do something different. So we're going to have those start and end dates. We're going to provide fees for those services, and we'd really be discussing the fees,
Sure.
I would think.
My recommendation would be the superintendent, the town administrator, and Mr. Essen. I would entertain a motion for those folks to be the subcommittee to negotiate for the OPM and for the architect. Jeez.
So before you make that motion, Fred,
Yep.
since Dawn and Kathleen, I don't think it would serve us a disservice if we had 4 people on that, so it doesn't have to be 3.
And I'd be more than happy to serve. I do have a wealth of knowledge in having negotiated contracts with a school building project.
And if I could add, I will say that Donnie, if memory serves, was an excellent resource for this high school that sort of put your name on the map. I knew who you were before I even got here, because people kept talking about the good work that you did on that.
On this high school?
Yeah.
I wasn't part of that committee.
Yeah, no, were you?
His evil twin.
His evil twin, right?
Yeah.
I was more heavily involved in that in high school, I think, than Dawn was.
My point, I don't want to see it be a gigantic committee. I'd like it to be streamlined, boom, 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 done, so to speak. You know.
So there's no motion. Does anyone have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion for the 4 people mentioned. I believe it was Jeff, Mary Beth, Kathleen, and Dawn to be on the committee to negotiate those contracts.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call. George?
Yep, yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Chris?
Yeah, just for my curiosity, I didn't hear who was on the committee. I'm sure I'm in favor of it. Could you repeat it, please?
Jeff Simonak, Mary Beth Carter, Dawn Essen, and Kathleen Otina.
Yes.
Thanks, Chris.
All right.
Due diligence.
All right, so that's done.
Thank you guys for putting your time out to do that. I appreciate it.
Public questions or comments at this point? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Fred, sorry.
Sorry.
Just one, are we all squared away with the invoices?
Oh, there were invoices passed to us. I think we're gonna have to talk, because I don't know that they're correct. I think we have to adjust. We paid an invoice to Collier's for printing of flyers that we anticipated being reimbursed some money.
Not to us.
Or to AI3 rather, I'm sorry, the 49 cents. The original flyers that were 49 cents. Inadvertently, some of the flyers ended up going to non-committee use. And I thought we had it squared away that the folks that were proponents, the vote yes people for easier way of saying it, we're going to come up with the approximate number of how many ended up that way and what went to the general public. As we do know, we cannot expend our internal funds or project funds for the public, you know, or a private entity, I should say. They're for our public events, etc. We're not talking a lot of flyers. I thought originally we were talking somewhere around, what, 40 I thought was the approximate. You know, at 49 cents a piece is what we were charged. So we're just looking to make sure that our books are whole.
So I think from that perspective, that would be an invoice from the district to the yes people. That wouldn't affect the contract between you and AI3.
No, it wouldn't affect our contract, it would just affect us closing out the books,
Agreed.
so to speak.
Yeah.
Ms. Otina?
I want to speak on this issue because I'm the person that made the motion on October 25th to pay the bills that were in the PAC. And I know, Mr. Small, that you made a disclaimer and you talked about a few shekels, but that's not a motion to amend. The motion that I made was to pay the bills in the PAC. It was seconded by, I believe, Mr. Simonak and was voted unanimously. So there's Robert's Rules of Order. And if there was a wish to amend the bill, then there's a proper procedure for amending, making a motion to amend the bill. I made the motion to pay the bills in the packet. It had nothing to do with a disclaimer and shekels.
The bill needed to be paid because it was not AI3's fault or responsibility that they shouldn't be reimbursed for providing the printing services for the project.
Who made the determination that flyers were used inadvertently?
It was stated
By whom?
by,
By whom?
I'm trying to
At
remember.
a public meeting by whom? By a public meeting by whom? Not one mention was made at a public meeting. There was something going on behind the scenes when we got.
Behind the scenes, when we got the bill and we were talking about it,
We who?
before a meeting, myself and Mr. Frost. And not to put Brandon on the spot, that's how it came to my knowledge, otherwise I had no knowledge.
Mr. Frost.
And then
told
I
you.
asked Elizabeth, you know, yeah, they had some and some got inadvertently. I'm just trying to keep this project 110% proper. I'm not worried about, you know, like I say, a few shekels, 49 cents a piece of 40 flyers is not a lot of money. But it's the proper way of making sure things are structured. When we were looking at flyers for town meeting, I have a printer, I could have easily printed them up myself. I asked Ethics. And when I was speaking with Ethics, they told me, did you get approval from your committee to do so? To accept the quote-unquote gift? I'm like, geez, you know, sometimes I didn't even think of that, no. She goes, well, then you really shouldn't be doing that yourself. Okay, I won't.
So you called ethics?
I called Ethics about my doing the flyers.
Okay.
And I did bring up the fact of these flyers when I was speaking with them. And she said, if you're remedying the situation that way, that should be fine.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
Because we had the flyers and we just had them out at all our meetings, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, I could have taken 20 of them myself and handed them out. How would you have known that? That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't have.
That's what I mean. So
I would
don't
not
see-
have
and
if it
what's
wasn't-
making- And I don't understand what the whole ethics thing is, because we could take them for, because it was strictly informational. It wasn't vote yes, it was strictly facts that everybody could know. So, I mean, I could have passed them out to my family or my neighbors or anything like that. So, I mean, technically, that's the same thing. And so I don't,
But once I gained knowledge of it, I felt I had to act. I can't ignore something that I had gained knowledge of. If I never gained knowledge, we would never have this conversation, I'm sure.
So, Fred, well, before that, I have a question. So Brandon Frost is the principal of the Whitman Middle School.
That's correct.
So Jeff Simonak is the superintendent. Beth Stafford is the chair of the school committee.
Mhm.
And you're the chair of this committee. and a
Correct.
member of the school committee.
Correct.
So you had a discussion with Brandon Frost about alleged wrongdoing?
Not alleged wrongdoing.
I'm just trying to figure out, because I have no idea what this is about.
We were talking about the flyers.
Hold on. I have no idea. Really.
Right, I have no idea what
Okay.
this is about.
Can
So-
everybody reel back so? we're
Before
all-
the last meeting, we were talking about the flyers. There was an invoice, they were 49 cents a piece, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. And I'm like, wow, we went through 500 flyers. He said, well, they did take them, you know, from the office. They were sitting there, you know, so that they could be accessible. You know, and I think, you know, that the folks from the Vote Yes, you know, took some as well. Okay, so I asked, you know, did you take them, did they go to other people? Yes, some may have gone to other people. I'm like, if you can just tell us how much and pay for them, that'll solve this whole thing. You know, 'cause-
Is this the point where we can respond here?
No. So,
It is.
you know, based on that, I asked Elizabeth, do you mind, just give a check to Mr. Stanbrook for how many you think that you guys ended up taking that went out from school resources or project resources, and it's done. They were 49 cents a piece.
I understand.
I didn't think anything of it other than, okay, it's handled. And now today I'm finding out it was never handled. Okay? I just want to make sure, because I know it's not legal for us to use school or I shouldn't say school, project resources toward a grouping taking those resources. Okay?
So, you know, you mentioned that you did become aware of it July 4th before a meeting.
You're soft talking.
Sorry.
Just leave it there.
I think you just mentioned that you didn't become aware of it till we talked before a meeting. You came to me and said, Brandon, we have a problem. So someone else came to you with this issue. I was unaware of it till you approached me. So that's incorrect what you said. And you were talking with Mr. McNeil before that happened. So you popped this on me, first of all. But second of all, the way I understand the rule is as long as we make this information available to anyone, that's what we're here for, correct? So vote no people or anyone could go into my office and grab these flyers if they wanted to, and that's really what they were. They just were open to the public in the office. Right? They were information about the dates of the vote. That's really all it was. I never said, you know, here you go, take whatever you want. That never happened.
No, and I'm not saying that you did.
Right.
I'm saying you have them out for informational purposes, and they are for a person to take
In the main office, yes. Yeah.
and have a copy. It's the distribution of them, okay, by a group that's a registered political action committee in passing them out.
So I'm kind of curious where my name comes into this.
I don't know what we were talking about.
I just,
No?
Curious to where my name came into it.
yeah, I kind of lost it where my name came into this.
I'm lost as well.
Excuse me, what did they say?
Huh?
Like, what did the flyers say?
They were the little handouts, the same as what we had in town meeting.
Who was the one that initially complained about it first? Who brought it to your attention?
I'm recollecting it was our conversation.
No. You came to me and said, Brandon, we have a problem. And someone told you, so it wasn't.
I'm recollecting it was our conversation, I asked you about them. That's what I'm recollecting.
I would like to hear from the president of the
Yep, and
organization.
I wanted us to have our conversation first.
Can I have the microphone that works?
Yeah, sure, sorry.
So I hope that it's okay to speak on behalf of the committee as well as the treasurer. As guardians of our committee's funds, it did not feel comfortable to write a check for something that had no paper trail. In operating our Vote Yes committee with the utmost integrity, when Mr. Small came to me at the beginning of a meeting and said something about flyers falling into the wrong hands, I simply said, okay, if that happened, I would be happy to remedy the situation. What didn't happen was that request was not made on behalf of the entire committee. That request was made on behalf of one individual, and that didn't sit right with me. And in wanting to do the right thing, I too contacted an attorney from the Office of Campaign and Political Finance and asked her what I should do. She told me I had 3 options. I could tell this individual, and I quote, to go pound sand. I could wait and see if any more requests were made on the behalf of our committee, or I could ask for specifics regarding what is being asked of us or what is being purported that our group did. I can only speak on my own behalf. On my own behalf, the flyers never left my hands in any Vote Yes capacity. Sometimes I had assisted Mr. Frost in bringing flyers, say, from the middle school when he was at central office, into the Council of Aging when there was going to be a community forum. And, he wasn't able to logistically get back and get the resources to the group. At another event that Mr. Frost wasn't able to be physically present, he did ask that flyers be made available to school parents who are curious about the building project. So flyers were in my possession for that reason. I think it's impossible for me to just say, oh, okay, if you think it's 40 flyers and they were X cents each, here's a check. That isn't an appropriate use of the funds of the people who either purchased yard signs or gave contributions to a Vote Yes initiative. The flyers were not used in any specific Vote Yes event, and therefore it feels a little bit like a stalemate to me. I do not want to put the committee in any way in any legal gray area. I simply don't want to do something that doesn't have fact or actual questions or answers around it. If I can clarify any further, I'm happy to do so.
If you can answer this, because it was my impression and understanding, and after speaking, that some flyers may have gone to various people and been handed out by those people, not at the school events, et cetera, et cetera. If you're telling me that that was not the case, then we don't have any further conversation.
I think we don't. I saw two people hand out flyers. It was Mr. Farrow at an open house to parents in the Conley School, and it was Mr. Frost handing physically flyers to parents at the middle school orientation.
But if that's the case, then we don't have anything to discuss.
Okay,
I wish
thank you.
that was said weeks ago.
Yeah, if I could just say, I think for the record, this committee talked about being present at open houses when flyers were passed out.
Oh, that's not the issue. That's not the issue.
My name's brought up, I'm just letting you know.
Exactly.
All right.
Those were printed up so that they would be at the committee's disposal
Yes, sir.
to inform the public at committee, or as we had talked about, the events we were going to be going to, parent-teacher organizations, et cetera.
Correct. So thank you for the clarification.
That was the use of those flyers. As long as they got used for that, we don't have an issue. Period.
So when I first brought up invoices, I wasn't actually referring to that, I apologize.
Okay.
Maybe sorry.
No, but go ahead, you can finish, because
When I was actually asking Fred, we talked last week about the Collier's Amendment number 1 for the estimating services. And I had thought that the vote that we had previously taken had approved that, and I think there was some questions on that you were gonna, I think, double check with John to see if that's good. If that's good to be signed, then we don't necessarily need to bring it forth here, but if not, I'd ask if we could have a quick discussion on that.
that was we had voted it.
That's correct.
Is document number 5 that you're referring to, for the 34,127?
No, so,
Do
Mr.
we
Chair.
have the document?
I don't know that it's in your document
So,
package.
Mr. Chair, the document is last meeting, all the financial documents had that document in it, but in the packet, I double copied one of the invoices. It wasn't one for 10,000 and one for 30-something thousand. In the packet, it was 10,000 twice. So you have to see, even though you voted for it, in the packet, it had 2 copies of the same invoice. So that's the other invoice from last meeting, whatever that was. So
But that's
you
not what
voted
I'm
it, but
talking
no
about.
one could.
Right, we
no one
voted the
saw it.
line, we didn't vote the
Right. It was
invoice
approved,
itself.
But you didn't have a picture of the
Okay.
invoice because
So-
I copied it wrong.
I would entertain a
I
motion
apologize.
to approve the invoice as presented with the understanding that we have already,
Proactively approved.
we've already voted to approve the amount.
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Roll call. Mr. Farrell?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
Yes.
Brandon?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Okay, unanimous. Anything further?
Yes, the addendum number one, the estimating services. So I have the meeting minutes up on the screen here. This was from our meeting back on June 27th. And I'm going to just scroll down here just to remind everybody. So there was the discussion at that meeting. John Bates was the Collier's representative at the time. He presented a couple of options for estimating services. And at that time, we recommended to go with AM Fogarty as they had the lowest fee at the time. And there was a vote, entertain a motion to select AM Fogarty as the owner's cost estimator. Motion was made, seconded, and the motion was passed unanimously. I think the question here is, the motion doesn't specifically state to make that amendment number one for Colliers. So I think the question was, does this motion by itself stand alone enough, allow us to execute that amendment, or do we need to make a follow-up motion for that amendment?
In other words, you're talking about the dollars that we spent because within that there was a cost schedule.
That's correct. So we scroll up. So this is what was presented on that night. And at the time, we recommended only moving forward with the 16.5 for the schematic design only. These other numbers would be something that we'll be negotiating with that new subcommittee. But the 16.5 is what was appropriate, was voted on that night. So I've created amendment one, no markup, no extra 10% or anything on it. It's just for the 16.5 that was voted on. And we'd like to get that amendment executed so that we could get that bill
I
submitted.
would say we already voted it.
Okay.
I would think. I mean, I'd be glad to take another motion and re-vote it, but Mr. Stambrook, as MCPPO, do you see an issue in that? Because we voted with that attached to the vote for AM Fogarty with the rate schedule and saying we were only voting on that portion at this time.
A belt and suspenders idea might be to just vote that to say yes to this, Raul, we're all here talking about it.
Okay, so is that a motion?
Yes. I don't usually make motions, so
No.
someone else can make motions.
there's nothing that precludes you from making a motion, Mr. Stanford, but I'll make it on your behalf.
Motion, do I have Kathleen Otina and Beth with the second? Mr. Farrow?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes?
I just want to just clarify, so what we're voting on is the remaining?
No, just the 16.5.
Okay,
And AM Fogarty would be our
yes,
cost estimator.
okay,
We've already voted that.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Scriven?
Yes.
Thank
Okay,
you.
unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Anything else?
Think we're good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, next meeting date. Julie, what did you have up there? December 19th?
19.
December 19th.
December 19th, 4:30.
could I ask how long this meeting is, because that tends to be the night that Finance Committee meets. We'll be right in the middle of meeting with department heads.
That's going to be a long agenda,
I think Julie said that was going to be a bit of a, that's why we were asking for a little bit longer on that one.
probably 2 hours.
4:30 to 6:30?
Yes, probably.
Bring my supper.
And entertain a motion to adjourn?
So, second by Kathleen.
Motion by Beth?
George?
Yes.
Crystal?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.